Hello, Scorpio, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of July 12th through the 18th. And during that time, we have a waning crescent moon for the first part of the week. That is a time of stability and calm. Good time for us to be thoughtful and growth oriented because we are approaching the new moon that comes in on the 14th. So we're going to be thinking about what do we want to change? What do we want to think about learning, or how do we want to grow in the next cycle? So then the 14th comes, and that's the new moon, which of course is a fresh start, new beginnings, time for us to do new things, learn a new skill, start new projects, whether they be inner or outer, and and just make new decisions. So then we have the waxing crescent. That's for the rest of the week, and that is a time of heightened senses when we get to plan and execute those things that we've just decided on with the new moon. So please keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for energies that you may or may not encounter, Scorpio. So, as always, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't here on the table for someone else. And your overall message for this reading is to have faith in your dreams. All right. I don't see that card that often. It's really a pretty card with the leaves there and the butterflies. Really like that. As I'm shuffling the tarot cards, my fun weekly reminder is that you use this new moon energy to really learn something new. And I don't mean just some little tiny little thing, but I mean to do a deep dive on something. And this could be, maybe there's a new recipe that you've been wanting to try, or learn how to do something in the kitchen. This could be, this time of year, maybe some gardening trick that you want to do. My husband and I are working on, we had some trees taken down, and we had the tree guy leave a stump so that we could build a fairy house or gnome house. We're trying to figure out exactly what to call it. And so we've been learning about how we're going to do that. So that's our big, exciting summer project. But learn something new. It doesn't have to be something frivolous. It could be, you might want to go back to school, take a class somewhere, but take this new moon energy to really do a deep dive, spend a couple of hours on something and learn something new this week. So that is my fun weekly reminder for you. And let's get into this reading, Scorpio, for July 12th through the 18th. Have faith in your dreams. Your present energy right now is the Temperance card. So I love this. This is a card of inspiration. So you need to let yourself be inspired. If there's something that you're dreaming about, or something that, you need to have faith that it can come true. And anything that you put your mind to, this is our angel. If the devil's on one side, this is the angel on the other side saying, yes, you can do this. This is a card about fulfillment. And, this is the angels that are protecting you as you're getting these things done. So, this is good, flowing, centered energy. And I really, really, it's one of my favorite cards in the deck. So I get excited when I get to pull her out and see her. So good energy for you as you're trying to accomplish your dreams. Your current situation right now is the Four of Pentacles. So, maybe this is about stability. Fours, any fours, when you think about the legs on a table. So any four that we see is about being stable. Or if you have three legs, not quite as stable. It's hard to see on my camera there, as when you have a table with four legs. Very, very stable. Not a lot of motion there. And this means that you're stable in your material world, stable when it comes to your money, your finances, stable when it comes to your living situation. So when you have that kind of stability, it gives us that time to dream, to have dreams, right? When life is unstable, you're not thinking about a big giant dream or something that you want to eventually fulfill. You're just trying to get through the day to day. But it looks like you've got that kind of under control. And that's a sign to be like, okay, now what? Now that you've got that under control, let's move on to the next thing, right? And you're in a good place right there. At the root of your situation is the King of Pentacles. So there you go. You are knowledgeable about your material world. You know how to make money. You know how to manage your money. You know how to get that bank account filled up. You might have some extra savings sitting around that's going to be a seed for something that you've dreamed about all of this time. So, it's just time to start putting those things into plan and have faith in them, but also put a practical plan together, right? in your recent past is you've been a little anxious and stressed out, probably because you're working too hard. So you do need to have fun things that you're working towards as well. And this is the perfect time for this. In this new moon, it's a fresh start. Every cycle is a fresh start. And if you're feeling a little bit stressed, you need to look at your life and examine what is stressing me out. And then you manage those things. Sometimes this isn't really explained to us. I don't think even in my life it was really explained to me, like, oh, if you have stress, figure out what it is and then just kind of manage it so that you don't have that same stress next week. I don't know. Maybe it's logical, but no one really told me that or taught me how to do that. But think about that in your life. What stresses you out? And it could be the smallest thing. It could be I don't know. It could be stresses you out too. Okay, for me personally, it stresses me out to wake up in a house that is not clean or to leave the house and come back to a house that isn't clean. So the solution for me for that is before I leave, my house gets straightened up and clean, or before I go to bed, straightened up and clean. I like that's so easy to do to not stress me. If I walk into a dirty house and things are out of place and disorganized and in a disarray, it's just no fun for me. So, that's my example. It could be anything for you. What stresses you out? And learn how to manage it so that it doesn't stress you as much, right? What is on your mind this week is the Knight of Cups. So it's on your mind to just be very emotionally stable moving forward. Again, now you've got your financial stability here. You've got your emotional stability. So, how can we fix this anxiety of your past? If you're fixing it through these stable things, that's really good. But then again, it leaves room to dream now. Now that you're fixing that anxiety, you're not worried about that anymore. What is the dream? Let's move forward and have faith in those things. What is just ahead of you? King of Cups. So emotion or financially stable, emotionally stable. And with both of these kings, anytime it's royalty, it's not only about your own stability, but now you have the ability to kind of look around at your constituents and you can see these gifts in other people as well, and who is emotionally stable or driven in a certain way. And sometimes that's just good to be able to know and examine the people around you, that you know what's driving them as well. And are they good for you? Is that a good thing? Are they emotionally driven in a positive manner? Or do you have people around you that are doing emotionally negative things that maybe aren't, something that would add to something that you might have a dream about, right? We all need to surround ourselves with just positive, good people that, that are there to support us in the actions that we want to do in our own life. So keep that in mind. That's definitely a message that came through for someone out there. In your advice position, I've seen this card so much in this set of readings. The advice is, and I've seen this card in this exact position. The advice is, the universe sometimes offers us things and we're just not thrilled about it, right? But sometimes the message for me in this group of readings has been sometimes you have to follow that thing that is a little bit disappointing because it's going to lead to the bigger thing. So have faith in your dreams and that the universe is going to take you there in its way, right? It may not be the way that you've imagined. So, I'm going to say, let's say that your dream is to be a musician and you want to have paying shows, okay? And let's say that here comes the show, and it doesn't pay as much as you think you should be getting paid. Don't say no to that for that reason. It might lead you to an opportunity. There might be someone at that show that's like, hey, I need to hire you to do this other thing that's more lucrative. So be very careful about what you say no to, as I feel like when this card is in the advice position, sometimes just go ahead and take it and say yes, because it might lead to something bigger, something better. What is beyond your control this week is the Tower, but it's beyond your control. And I feel like it's just a tiny disruption. It could be the thing that you're a little bit disappointed about. But again, sometimes we follow those breadcrumbs and it's the universe trying to take you somewhere. And if you keep saying no to it or you're just annoyed by it, you're not going to get to the bigger lesson. And sometimes something disruptive happens that is a blessing in disguise, right? And that's many, many times what a tower can be. And I feel like there's just something like a little blip that's beyond your control. Maybe it's bigger than you think it is because it's going to lead you to a better place. I hope that made sense. What is your secret desire, or what are you trying to avoid? King of Swords. I mean, can we have all the kings on the table? We're only now missing what? King of Wands is the one that we're missing right now. King of Swords. So is it your desire to be your secret desire to be very logical, to do things in a very logical way, or do you try to avoid that at all the cost? Are you all about feeling? Are you more about feelings than you are about logic? So there's no right or wrong answer to this. It's just a question for you to ask yourself is, do you want to do things and be knowledgeable in the ways of intellect and knowledge, or logic, or do you just avoid that at all cost? And just know the answer to why. Some of us don't run very well on logic. I'm one of them. I have my logical moments, but if I really need logic, I turn to my husband and say, "What's the logical thing here?" Because I'm way more apt to go on feelings and passion. I'm just driven that way, and he's more driven logically. So ask yourself that question and see what kind of answer comes up for you. In your outcome position is the Star card, which is about following the direction that the universe is laying out for you, which is exactly what I'm talking about with these two cards here. That even if it seems like something that's disappointing or it seems like a disruption, it might be the direction that the universe is trying to pull you on. It's the only way to maybe get you in a place where you get to meet the right person, or you get to have the right experience that will now move you on to the next thing. But the Star card is about following that direction, following the direction of the universe. And we started off, we've got the Star card with the emotional and the practical right here, pulling out the emotional waters and pouring them onto the practical ground, just like this Temperance card, pouring things back and forth, having a foot. She's got a foot here on terra firma and a foot in the water, just like we do over here. So, I think balancing that emotional and logical might be the thing that gets you to have faith in your dreams. So understand that there's like just different drivers. Some of them might be both feeling but also logic. All right, what is hidden from you here at the bottom of the deck is really thinking about your future in a positive way. And that might be what is hindering you, if that makes sense, Scorpio. Have faith in your dreams and be able to look towards the future. And that's missing from you right now. And there may be some reason. So ask yourself why. Why wouldn't I think that this thing could come true, whatever this dream? And I don't know what it is. Dreams come in all different shapes, sizes, and whatever. But think about, can you practically get to it? Can you have enough faith that if you add the logic with the emotion, with the financial stability, can you move forward and do it? That's really a big question. So ask yourself, the outcome is that you do need to kind of follow, this is your direction. If it's something that you're drawn to and there's signs in the universe that tell you that this is what you need to do, you need to have faith in that and move forward in the appropriate way. All right, let's get you a final message here from the Soul Oracle deck. Final message for Scorpio as they're having faith in their dreams. And the card for you is to face your adversaries. So, and that adversary just might be you. It may not be anything outward, but figure out, ask yourself that question too this week. What is holding me back from having faith in my dreams? Ask yourself that question and see if any of these answers are coming through for you. That's a good question, really, for any of us to ask of ourselves. All right, let's see what you need to do in the way of self-care. Self-care for Scorpio this week. And your card is called Power, and there is a good girl sign with a don't crossing through it. Don't be a good girl. The ability to suck it up is not a superpower. Saying no is. Own your power. Interesting. So what is it maybe that you need to say no to? Is that facing your adversary? Is there something that maybe you say yes to that keeps you from really reaching your dreams? But I don't know. It's a very interesting reading, Scorpio, and there's a lot of questions for you to ask yourself this week. So definitely take the time to ask those questions. I hope there's something in this reading that you can take away and use in a positive way in your life. Of course, if you're comfortable sharing, drop me a comment down below and let me know. I'd be happy to hear from you. Also, if you like my reading style, hitting like and subscribe is super helpful to me. So thank you so much in advance. I really appreciate your time here with me today, Scorpio. Good luck with this. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.